Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
When buying a house, what's something you thought was minor but has become the bane of your existence? Bamboo. Someone before me planted super invasive, 15-foot tall growing bamboo in the backyard. It was spreading so wildly it was uplifting the granite pool and growing under the foundation of the house. You could see the remnants of a barrier, of sorts of where they initially planted it, obviously not knowing how bamboo grows. I myself did not know, until I purchased the house. Absolute nightmare. A guy once said to me that bamboo is like a cold slow fire that is alive. If you don't keep it in check it will destroy everything. It's worse than that, it's impossible to keep it in check. You have to remove it completely, and I mean every scrap of root. After I yanked out mine I was still digging out new sprouts for the next 6 months. Oftentimes the new plant was growing from literally 1.5 inches of root that I had missed. Think of every tiny piece of root as a new seed. The best way to get rid of bamboo is to move. What about installing a panda in your backyard? This reminds me of the time my dad decided more greenery was the way to go and planted a bunch of bamboos. They grew so tall and so wildly out of control it was just turning into its own jungle. My mom one day decided to yell at my dad for ever planting that monster-sized weed and chewed him out for it, and 2 days later, the most gigantic bolt of lightning struck the bamboo patch and basically roasted it from the root. I've never gotten on my mom's bad side after that. Finding good people to do small jobs. The reputable companies don't like to waste time on small jobs, so it's usually pick someone off of the internet and hope they don't make it worse, or DIY. I live close to a plumber who is always willing to do small side jobs on the weekend. Same with an HVAC guy 2 doors down. Another neighbor is an old retired school janitor, and I asked if I could pay him to do odd jobs like install a ceiling fan and later a screen door, that kind of stuff. He works slow but he shows up on time, and that is 50% of the battle when it comes to handyman types. I'm not sure if this is the community building they always talk about. It worked out for us. Good, cheap, fast, pick 2, or even 1, as long as it's the first one. Edited to add, this isn't necessarily an all or none for the 3 choices. It's more like a triangle with good at one point, fast at another point, and cheap at the third point, and sometimes you can pick a spot in the center of the triangle to find the sweet spot of the 3. Rule of thumb: every nice thing, interesting extra or big thing means more maintenance. Large pool, you have to clean it. Large driveway, you'll need to shovel it and resurface it at some point. Large yard, you gotta mow it. Large deck, you have to paint it. 3 bathrooms, thrice the cleaning. Lots of windows, lots of cleaning. Lots of mature trees, lots of raking. Lots of mature fruit trees, bees and wasps everywhere. Large high roof with cool architecture effects, super expensive to reshingle. A large skylight in the living room, it will leak, it's not a question of if but a question of when. Etc. This comment is 100% fact. Good job. Some additional things to add as someone who bought a home 2 years ago. All repairs cost more than you want, but many are less than I'd expect. Nothing is under $200 to even have someone come look at, but I found that most minor repair work is under $1,000 to fix. The quicker you are to fix something, the less it costs. Couple of mice got in the basement, cheaper to buy traps, poison, and steel wool now than to pay for a full-blown extermination later. Water is bad. I now hate rain and snow and any leaking thing. It's bad for the roof, it's bad for the foundation, and it's damn near bad for everything else in between. Fix leaks immediately. For those looking at houses, good bones matter a lot more than shiny surfaces. My wife and I passed on several flips because inspectors shook their head, and bought a house that needed some surface upgrades. Our repairs have been small and inexpensive, and left us with money to put towards slowly remodeling some rooms. Fences are too fucking expensive. That is all. Talk to your neighbors about things. I had a tree taken down recently, gave my neighbor a courtesy heads up, turns out he wanted a couple more taken down in our yard if we didn't mind. They paid the bill. Not saying this is normal, but being nice to your neighbors goes a long way. Look for rebates. I live in MA, I got $10,000 back when upgrading my heat pump and adding AC. A $30,000 project cost us $20,000 because of a rebate program. There is a lot of money out there to claim back. Learn some basic handiwork. This can be done slowly. Maybe pick a trade and learn the basics there, then move on. I went from clueless to semi-handy in 18 months. Can fix a toilet, replace a sink, fix a dishwasher, and patch up small holes, issues without problem. Electrical is my next focus. I love looking at all these homes of the rich and famous, and just thinking of myself, my God, the upkeep on these homes must be in the millions. Sometimes these estates bankrupt people. Especially since family wealth usually depletes within a few generations. Not necessarily famous, but in England at least there's the concept of genteel poverty. There's another term but I forgot. People who have land and titles from their ancestors who used to be rich aristocracy, but the properties weren't maintained and the family is low income, making selling the property difficult whilst also being expensive to make livable. Broke people living in decaying castles. A way to curb this for some families around 100 years ago was the American dollar princess. The daughters of industry tycoons often couldn't find suitable matches for social clout because new money families weren't welcomed by old money families in the US. So some of them would find bachelors abroad with titles and land and education. The dads would pay for whatever the groom's family needed to keep their properties and dignities afloat in return for the daughter being able to say she was married to a duke or earl or something. That's actually the story with the Churchill family. They were going to be in ruins until Winston Churchill's dad, Lord Randolph Churchill, married Jenny Jerome from Brooklyn. Churchill's mom was an American woman shrugging medium light skin tone. Never buy a house where the kitchen, laundry, or living room wall is shared with the master bedroom if you are a light sleeper. My laundry is next door, but I sleep with earplugs. Earplugs in general have been a lifesaver as a light sleeper. The wall is also remarkably well sound insulated. When we toured the home, the previous owners had the laundry running. Realtor was apologetic, but we were like, oh, that's perfect, we can see what it sounds like from different parts of the house. My fear would be that I would miss the alarm. Edit, okay, I get it. Either you still hear it or you add some vibration to your alarm. We live in a 100-year-old house with a huge, open basement. Our washer and dryer are in our basement. For some stupid reason, known only to them, the previous owners installed the washing machine and dryer on opposite sides of the basement, instead of side by side the way normal people would have done. I bought one of those professional chrome laundry carts that the laundromats use to shuttle loads across the basement between machines. Eventually, I plan to rewire the place and relocate the dryer next to the washing machine. Haha, I rented an old home like this. The washing machine is in the kitchen, only spot with accessible plumbing. The dryer was in the garage. Opposite end of the building, one floor down. Also, the fridge was in the dining room because the kitchen was too small. Check cell coverage and find out about the ISP. The town I live in has horrible cell reception. Luckily my ISP is great and has excellent service, so I just connect to the Wi-Fi. Worst part is that I don't live in the middle of nowhere, I'm in a suburb of a massive city, so I don't understand why the service is so shitty. I live in a major US city. About a mile from downtown. Half my house is a dead zone. Single bathroom. I had underestimated the amount of time my husband just sits on the toilet. He's reading this thread, for the third time. I want ever a single bathroom because every house I have owned eventually had a bathroom remodel done. That bathroom is out of commission for days to weeks. There's a path behind my kitchen window that separates the garden from the house. The path runs behind all the houses on the street and everybody, residents, has access. I wouldn't mind this, but our neighbors on each side are best friends and so they stand on the path directly outside our kitchen window when they chat. You gotta start opening the window and joining in the conversation like some sort of sitcom. Heidi ho neighbor, open the window and join in. You either make new friends or bother them enough to stop. Yeah, just keep steering their conversation to your foot fungus, or long anecdotes about people they don't even know, get creative with it, and they'll leave for good. Window treatments or curtains. The guy before me broke up with his girlfriend. She moved out and took all the curtains out of spite. I didn't think it was a big deal until I priced out new ones. For 25% of the cost of curtains for a modest home, you can buy a sewing machine and the needed material. Curtains are stupidly easy to sew. I'm a manly dude and I sew my curtains. Why? I like my money, and now that I have a sewing machine, I can make all sorts of cool stuff I need custom out of canvas. 100% recommend learning to sew simple things. Own it, dude, nothing wrong with a manly man sewing. Such a good life skill to have. Anyone who has a problem with it are the people with insecurities. So true, it's a massive racket. Even the mail order DIY stuff is expensive now. Expect $150 per window and up, way up. And you rarely can take it with you to the next house. The windows will be different sized, the color scheme won't work. Imma home sewer and fabric is ridiculous now. It'd cost me that in fabric to make some decent curtains. Gone are the days that fabric was cheap and you'd make your own clothes. Now it's an expensive hobby. If anyone has advice on how to source cheap fabric in the UK, I will be eternally grateful. My mum used to have her own soft furnishings business. She happily makes and alters curtains as a hobby now she's retired, so I can get high quality curtains. I just have to buy the fabric. There are perks to living close to family, tears of joy. Finding contractors for minor repair jobs. I had a chimney leak and called 4 companies. 3 of them didn't want the job since it was a $300 to $500 repair. The 4th set up an appointment with me but never showed up. It took me over 4 months to find someone. Fun part about owning small houses. No one wants to work on the things because it's 1/3 to 1/2 of what a MC mansion would cost for the same job. You get a lot of foo-style quotes. They don't really want the job, so they'll write a quote so inflated it's just a foo letter. Oh yeah, the first house I owned, I wanted to get a quote for the popcorn ceiling scraped and primed. That was it. House was 1,300 square feet, place quoted me $7,500.